So, hence, a lot of customers are looking at the movement to cloud as a mechanism to unlock themselves from the things they might not like about Broadcom or the Broadcom acquisition. But in that effort, customers are realizing that maybe I don't want to have all of my infrastructure in one place or on one vendor or in one cloud, if you will, if they move to cloud. So many customers, in order to avoid a VMware-like lock-in model, which we all did that, right? Because that's what worked the best. Customers are looking for a multi-vendor cloud. However, understand that multiple clouds, if you're in multiple clouds, that doesn't necessarily mean multi-cloud, right? Multiple clouds can create silos. Silos increase complexity. Silos increase cost. Multi-cloud protects organizations from lock-in, and understand that different clouds are not the same. Just because you know and understand Azure does not automatically mean that you know and understand AWS, and does not automatically mean that you know and understand edge compute, right? And so, as we look for ways to find the best operating model for organizations, we tend to break those down into segments and choose the operating model that works best for the type of data or the type of app. But gosh, doesn't that even create more complexity? So, and the reason I say that is because as we go through this process of modernization and running apps where they belong, and putting data where it belongs, we are driving more and more complexity. There's this sort of uh, unintentional or accidental hybrid multi-cloud that you end up with. So, in your desire to create fewer silos, you tend to create more silos, and you end up with this other sort of complex mess of infrastructure, complex tools, multiple tools, processes management, skill set gaps. And so there are a lot more challenges as we go through this, right? Now, as we dig into some of the specific challenges associated with that, I've mentioned a lot of these, right, already. New skill sets, tool sets, procedures, third party integration. Why will the will the appliances and components and completer solutions, if you will, work on premises, work in cloud? Are your networking and security constructs the same on premises as they are in cloud? I can tell you right now, they are not. They are different. And that's just another net new thing that you have to learn. Adaptability is, are your apps and the mechanism by which you deploy and develop apps, um, are they adaptable to public cloud? And the storage availability. You might have an environment that has a great deal of storage. Is that amount of storage available at the speed and capacity that you need in public cloud or in multi-hybrid cloud, right? So a lot of challenges. Cloud migration, once you've made the decision to sort of go there or to experiment with that, based on conversations that we're having with customers, we tend to see four sort of primary challenges. Cloud migration is a challenge, right? How do I get there? What does that look like? How long is it going to take? How complex is it going to be? Who's going to analyze my application and data landscape to determine what will work in a multi-hybrid cloud environment? Simplifying operations, right? Let's face it, managing on premises traditionally is totally different than managing public cloud. And so I'm introducing this new thing. Managing cloud costs. This is another one that many of you have probably run into. I personally have run into it. You start down this road of public cloud, and you start spinning stuff up, and it's great because it's just right there, right when you need it. It's like boom, boom, boom. Yeah, it's unlimited, um, but it's not free. And at the end of the month, you get the bill, and what you thought was going to be X is 3X, and you're not feeling too good about that. So you've got to have a way to manage that. And then finally, the skills to manage across multiple environments. Do you have the time and willingness to learn a whole new thing if that whole new thing is literally so different than what you've been doing. So these are things that you have to take into consideration, things that our customers are telling us. Now, given those factors, given those challenges, what's needed is balance. Balance between public cloud, which is suitable for elastic cloud native applications, and private cloud, which combines what we already know, right? Ease of use, agility, scale, security control, performance, all of the things that we use traditional data center for. So what we want to do here really is to be able to leverage the value of each type of environment simultaneously. And we refer to this really as a form of data center modernization. It's using the best of both worlds. You know what you get from private cloud. What can you take advantage of in the public cloud, right? Ease of use, fractional economics. I always think we all know what fractional economics is, but I always think that's kind of a funny term, fractional economics. Like you have to be an economics major and a cloud expert to really understand fractional economics. Um, but that brings us to the Nutanix Cloud Platform. So, what is Nutanix Cloud Clusters, right? This NCC or NC2, and why do we use the term clusters, right? Is that a good term or is that a bad term? I don't know. I was in the army for 8 years, and when you say cluster, then that means something bad. But in Nutanix vernacular, it's a good thing. But understand that Nutanix Cloud Clusters is not an entity unto itself. It's a name we give it, but Nutanix Cloud Clusters is simply Nutanix. It's all the value of Nutanix. It's the entire Nutanix platform running in public cloud. Right? So from a operational model, from a simplicity model, from a hypervisor perspective, it's the same on-prem, public cloud. And that's really the beauty of it because we take the management of it all and we tie it all together into one cloud platform. So what should this look like? This multi-hybrid cloud, right? We 100% believe in a consistent single cloud platform. And this is an interesting concept to me because when I first came to Nutanix, I recognized Nutanix as a really great solution for data center for VDI workloads, right? We were amazing. We still are amazing as it relates to VDI workloads. Many of you became interested in Nutanix because of how good Nutanix runs VDI workloads, but there's so many other workloads that Nutanix runs great. In fact, any workload runs great on Nutanix on this single cloud platform. But when I first came to Nutanix, I would hear the detractors say, "Oh, Nutanix, they're not a cloud company. They're not in cloud. They're only on premises, right? How can you be cloud?" And I thought to myself, I can't wait for the day when we have the ability to deploy Nutanix software in public cloud and simply bridge those two things together. Stretch the network, stretch the operational functionality, take all of the things that we do great on premises and extend that to public cloud. Well, guess what? That exists today. So, and that wasn't my idea, by the way. I was just thinking to myself, wow, it'd be really cool because all these people that say we're not a cloud company, they would just shut up if we could do that. Well, those people are quiet about Nutanix nowadays. In fact, a lot of people who used to talk mean about Nutanix actually came to Nutanix and work at Nutanix now. I'm not going to name names. I'm not one of them. I thought Nutanix was pretty cool right out of the get-go. While I was working with a company trying to compete directly against Nutanix, I learned a lot about Nutanix. But um, the idea here is that common platform, right? We use common skills, common tools, seamless movement between clouds, right? Does AWS give you a seamless mechanism to move between on premises and Azure? No, of course not. Why would they do that? If you're in AWS, they want you to stay in AWS. Likewise with Azure. We give you the ability to move seamlessly between clouds, whether it's public cloud, private cloud at the edge, cloud and an MSP, whatever the case might be. native integration into public cloud accounts. So if you're using public cloud services, we can integrate with those public cloud services. What would those services be? Identity and access management, as an example, that's frequently used as a public cloud service. We can integrate with that. Um, various services, virtual appliances, um, database management in the public cloud. We can interact with that. We have our own database management that works in public cloud. I'll show you that in a second. And then license portability without cloud lock-in, right? You're not buying Nutanix software for a one public cloud or another public cloud or a private cloud. You're buying a Nutanix software and you can run it wherever you want. The licensing is core based and it's portable. So if you decide to minimize use over here and maximize use over here, that's okay. The licenses are portable. Um, you know, Azure's running you're in AWS and Azure's running a fire sale on bare metal. Whoop, you just switch those workloads over there and the licensing. It's all portable.